And welcome back to The Rundown. More now on our top story. Actor and singer Olivia Newton-John has died. News of her death at the age of 73 was just posted on social media accounts. Newton-John first gained fame as a singer in the early 1970s, releasing several hit singles, but it was her 1978 role as Sandy in the film version of the musical Grease that launched her into international superstardom. For more now, that is, I want to bring in broadcaster and music journalist Alan Cross. Alan, she was the soundtrack for so many people of a certain age. Let me just get your thoughts on the passing of Olivia Newton-John.
When I was in grade 6, I became absolutely besotted with the song Let Me Be There. And that was the only song I'd listened to for about 3 weeks. And I was always fascinated by her gentle sexiness, even at a very young age. Then she plays Sandy next door to John Travolta in Grease in 1978. And she has this really wholesome look. And at the end of the film, she becomes this leather-clad vixen, which is really interesting. We can discuss that whole thing is a lot. But beyond that, she became this giant superstar in the 1980s, especially with the Physical album in 1981. That song was #1 for 10 weeks, and it broke all kinds of records in the 1980s, and it also helped kick off the physical fitness phase. I mean, we had her doing physical. We had Jane Fonda with her tapes. We had James Fix asking us to go running. She was a very, very big part of that. She also became an animal rights activist, especially for dolphins. She was very upset about the dolphin slaughter happening with Japanese fishermen, to the point where she would cancel tours of Japan. She was an entrepreneur. She had a spa that she co-owned in New South Wales. She was a special ambassador for the United Nations when it came to UNICEF and children. The woman was a force of nature. Cancer came around in 1992, and she's been battling that. She had been battling that ever since. And I know that in 2017, they had discovered that it had returned and metastasized to the lower part of her back. And the cause of death has not been given, but I would imagine that after 30 years of fighting breast cancer, that it finally got the best of her.
Yeah, and I know that she was a multiple Grammy Award winner. What, in your mind, was bigger for her career, Physical or Grease?
Ooh, that's a really good question. They're two separate things. I mean, one launched her as an actor, and the other as she was probably the biggest female star in the world there for a number of years in the early 1980s. I mean, you could not escape her. She was everywhere, not only with songs still being played from Grease, but also from Xanadu and a series of other singles. But, Physical was just this, it was a phenomenon. If you were around back then, you could not escape that song. So I would, I don't know if I would make the distinction between the two. I would say that she was a double threat.
Yeah, and why do you think she remained an icon for so long? I mean, some people, have a big hit, like a movie or a single, and then kind of disappear into the background. She remained pretty iconic, through her 60s.
She did, and it was because I think she made herself available, and because she was involved in these causes like for children and for breast cancer research and awareness. But she would always, she would show up, on RuPaul's Drag Race. She would show up on Dancing with the Stars. She would show up on American Idol. She had that much career momentum that, from the 80s, that she continued to be important to a lot of people. And she introduced herself to new generations by appearing on these TV shows. She continued to record, but her most important work in the latter part of her life was definitely breast cancer research.
Yeah, and what do you think the reaction, we're looking to see what the reaction from John Travolta and some of our other co-stars were, but what do you think the reaction in general across the world of Hollywood will be in entertainment?
It'll be one of sadness and the realization that one of the great voices of the 20th century has passed on. She sold something like 100 million records. Right. Yeah. She was that big. And if anybody doubts her ability, I want you to go back and listen to The One That I Want from the Grease soundtrack. Just listen to her phrasing and breathing and the decisions that she makes with her voice in singing the lyrics of that song. And this is long before we had studio trickery, long before we had anything like auto-tune. What an exceptional, extraordinary voice she had.
I bet you a lot of people are going to be pressing play on Grease tonight. Are you one of them?
I might, just to see that Sandy transformation one more time.
There you go. Alan, appreciate it, and your perspective and analysis and insight on this. That's broadcaster and music journalist Alan Cross joining us.